exposed, the incredible journey of a destined bride and her unexpected, forbidden love, Emily Thompson stared at the wedding invitation in her hands, the gold lettering glinting under the dining room light. A future crafted by her family, lined with expectations and outlined by tradition. Yet, outside her window, the world seemed to call her name through the vibrant brushstrokes of the man she yearned to explore, David, the artist who had swept her into a whirlwind of colors and emotions she never knew existed. Her heart raced as she wrestled the tight coils of obligation and desire battling within her. In her tidy office at the Cedar Grove Community Center, Emily felt the weight of her dual life pressing down on her shoulders. Each day in the field exposed the harsh realities of economic inequality, shattering the idealized bubble her family had formed around her since childhood. Her clients faced struggles that clawed at her heart, tugging her spirit into a passionate pursuit of justice. Yet her impending wedding to Marcus, handsome and well-established, loomed over her like a dark cloud promising rain. As she wrote case reports, visions of David's deep brown eyes flickered through her mind, leaving her unsettled and yearning for more. Could she really exchange the security of familial loyalty for the uncharted territory of love? No one could know about her feelings for him, not her parents, not Marcus, and certainly not the narrow-minded townsfolk whose whispers often echoed in her ear. The idea of familial disappointment felt like a suffocating shroud, smothering the very flicker of happiness she craved. Why did happiness seem to lurk just beyond her grasp? The pressure was excruciating. Before she could lose herself in spiraling thoughts, what if she disappointed everyone? What if David was simply a fleeting infatuation? A notification on her phone interrupted her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Ignoring it, Emily's hands trembled as she scrolled through her messages, spotting a new one from David. An invitation to his art showcase, a vibrant exhibition that represented what felt like the entire essence of his soul. A dilemma clawed at her: go risk her family's ideal of who she should be, or choose the predictable route they carved for her. Could love transcend social divisions? Or would she forever bear the weight of guilt knowing she chose a path that risked their happiness for her own? After a long day, the rain fell, pounding the streets with urgent precision as she sat in her car, breathing in the aroma of the coffee cup still warm in her hands. What would her life become if she met David there? Would she step into his realm, expose her heart to the truth of their connection? The answer hung thick with uncertainty, tempting yet daunting. The clock ticked loudly, a reminder of the wedding only days away, as tears threatened to spill over her tightly controlled composure. Would this be her last moment of indecision? As dark skies loomed overhead, Emily found herself teetering on the edge of resolve, her heart racing at the thought of the next step. She clenched the steering wheel as a storm raged both inside and outside her world, knowing she could either step forward into the vibrant unknown or retreat into the safety of a life already planned for her. The choice lay ahead, unfathomable and fierce, like the tumult of the thunder outside. The rain had transformed the streets into glistening mirrors, reflecting the turmoil within Emily's heart as she sat motionless in her car. She flicked the wipers to life, but the clarity she sought remained elusive, hidden behind layers of doubt and fear. The weight of the wedding invitation nestled in her pocket felt heavier than ever, a tangible reminder of her commitment to a life she hadn't truly chosen. What if this moment could pivot her reality into something new, something uncharted? Pressing her palm against the steering wheel, she struggled against the madness of the choices swirling inside her mind. How had she arrived at this point? The caring fiancé, the supportive family, and yet an undeniable pull toward a man who existed in a world outside her own. She closed her eyes, seeking solace in the whirlwind of emotions that swept through her, but the images of David's laughter and the warmth of his touch only deepened her internal strife. Suddenly, a burst of thunder cracked through the silence, jolting her back to the present. She needed a plan, a strategy to navigate these turbulent waters that threatened to engulf her. Emily had always been the reliable one, the overachiever with a clear path outlined by generational expectations. She shifted into drive, droplets racing down her windshield like the thoughts racing through her mind. If she were to embrace her feelings for David, she would need to understand her own heart first. As the wipers cleared a path, Emily decided she couldn't go into the evening unprepared. This art showcase wasn't just an event, it was a chance to confront her feelings, to see if the spark she felt for David could ignite into something more profound or if it would fizzle under the weight of reality. She pulled into a nearby bookstore, her refuge for moments of clarity. The smell of paper and ink enveloped her as she navigated the narrow aisles, searching for literature on love, relationships, anything that could guide her through this labyrinth of her making. Settling on a title that promised to explore the complexities of the heart, she retreated to a small corner table. Flipping through the pages, she discovered phrases that echoed her fears and desires. True love is not merely an escape but a fusion of souls and exploration. The words resonated, and she pictured David's artwork hanging in a gallery filled with colors and shapes that mirrored her emotions. Could she allow herself to be an artist in her own life? Could she defy conventions and paint her future with broad strokes of passion rather than the muted tones of obligation? As she read deeper, fragments of her life intermingled with the text. The artist and the bride no longer existed in separate spaces. They were intertwined, much like the canvases David painted, a blend of darkness and light, uncertainty and joy. Suddenly, a realization dawned upon her: this wasn't just about David or Marcus. This was about her, the woman she wanted to become in a world that often confined her to roles predetermined by others. The urge to break free from her carefully etched past solidified within her, igniting a burgeoning resolve she didn't know she possessed. Emerging from the bookstore, the air felt charged with a new energy. She stood across from the gallery, its inviting lights spilling into the night. Would she be brave enough to step into that world? To plunge into a future drawn by her own brush? The answer trembled on the tip of her tongue as she approached the entrance. In that moment, a shadow flickered in her peripheral vision, the unmistakable silhouette of Marcus. The certainty she craved threatened to unravel, leaving her with no escape from the very life she sought to question. The time had come to face her greatest dilemma. Would she turn to the world brimming with color, or retreat to the shadow of expectation? Emily's heart raced as she caught sight of Marcus standing just outside the gallery entrance. His casual demeanor stood in stark contrast to the tempest roiling inside her. She felt trapped between two worlds, one rooted in promises and the other vibrant with possibility. Could she muster the strength to choose? Taking a deep breath, Emily stepped toward the gallery, but the undercurrent of doubt crept back. Was she ready to walk into David's world and potentially shatter the fragile borders of her carefully constructed life? Each footfall echoed her indecision, catalyzing a flood of memories: first dates with Marcus's soft laugh, gentle conversations with her fiancé, and most poignantly, fleeting moments with David that ignited an unquenchable longing. Marcus's voice drew her back, shadowing her thoughts with familiarity and an undeniable sense of duty. She turned to face him, his expression a mix of concern and affection. "What are you doing here?" The words caught in her throat. Did she admit her struggle, expose the chaos within? Or maintain the facade of the perfect bride? An overwhelming instinct urged her to communicate openly. "I wanted to see the art." The lie slid out, tasting bitter against her tongue. Marcus studied her for a moment, as if searching for something unspoken. "I thought you'd be at home planning the wedding," he replied, his brow furrowing. "I know this is a big step for both of us." Her pulse quickened as she contemplated the weight of his words. Planning wasn't just about logistics. It was about navigating the life she might soon lead. Could she embrace Marcus's expectations, or would that mean suffocating the part of her that ached for what felt authentic? "It is a big step. But I want to find something that resonates," she stammered, the truth peeking through the barriers she had built. Marcus's brow softened. "Finding clarity is important." "I get that." His tone conveyed understanding, but his eyes clouded with a flicker of anxiety. revealing the deep emotion beneath his pragmatic surface. Do you? She hesitated, the words issuing from her like a daring challenge. What if clarity leads us to different paths? The silence hung like a fragile thread between them. I think clarity just strengthens our partnership, he countered, yet doubt shadowed his voice. There it was, the crux of her dilemma. Would choosing the life Marcus envisioned mean drifting away from what she felt with David? Suddenly, the gallery door swung open, spilling light into the darkened street. A group of attendees emerged, lively conversations mingling with art and laughter. Emily caught a glimpse of David inside, surrounded by vibrant canvases, radiant in the ecstasy of his creativity. A magnetic pull tugged at her heartstrings. She was drawn toward that life, the fear of loss colliding with the fear of remaining stagnant. With Marcus nearby, confusion blurred the vibrancy of her emotions. Fire and ice fought within her, a man who represented security versus the intoxication of passion. I need time, she finally stated, the weight of her confession settling heavily. Time? His eyebrows shot up in surprise, but there was no impending judgment. Are you saying? Yes. The word felt liberating, a chasm opening within her. She stepped away, unable to remain tethered to what she had always known. I need to understand who I am, who I want to be before I can commit. I have to explore this. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of uncertainty, she turned toward the gallery. Would David see her as she truly was, raw and unfiltered? The heart of her dilemma became clear. Could stepping into her truth open the door to a love she could not yet understand? Emily paused, glancing back at Marcus, who was left standing in the twilight, a figure caught between expectations and the reality of her choices. Her decision rested on a precipice, teetering between risk and safety. With a final breath, she walked through the gallery door, ready to confront the complexities of her heart and the world waiting beyond. Would this be the moment she chose herself, or a moment steeped in regret? The canvas of her life awaited her brush, but would she have the courage to paint her own masterpiece? Inside the gallery, the air buzzed with an electric anticipation that mingled with the sense of fresh paint and warm wood. Art hung on every wall, vivid colors and bold strokes beckoning her closer. She stepped further in, the cacophony of laughter and conversation swirling around her, but her focus remained anchored on one figure, David. He stood absorbed in a discussion with another artist, his hands animatedly illustrating a point, confidence radiating from him like warmth from the sun. It struck Emily how effortlessly he moved between worlds, his passion for art fueling his charisma, igniting something deep within her that she had long buried under duty and convention. As she approached the small gathering, stifled thoughts churned in her mind. Who was she in this world? Did she dare reveal the turbulence of her heart when his confidence wrapped around her like a cocoon? Would he see through the facade, through the layers of hesitation she had so carefully crafted? Emily! David's voice cut through her introspection like a brushstroke across the canvas. He turned, the moment charging with an unexpected intensity, as their eyes locked. Something in her chest unraveled, the tension of indecision crafting a space between them, filled with unspoken words and lingering glances. David, she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. The heaviness of her choice hung like an unseen shroud, and yet, here in his presence, she felt more alive than she could ever remember. They exchanged brief pleasantries, but Emily's mind was a whirlwind of internal dialogue. She observed him, the way he conversed easily, connecting dots of creativity, passion, and opportunity. Was she brave enough to step into this world, knowing the ties it might sever? Do you like the new pieces? He asked, gesturing to a set of paintings that captured movement with breathless precision. Very much, she said, forced to ground herself in the conversation. They're expressive. For a moment, the air between them thickened, both grappling with an unacknowledged tension, a connection that surpassed mere intrigue. Emily felt a flicker of empowerment igniting within her, kindling the spark she had thought extinguished. What if she leaned into this? What if she dared to articulate her desires? You know, I've seen you at various openings, David mused, tilting his head slightly, his gaze unwavering. I never noticed how captivating you were until now. Her cheeks flushed, caught off guard by the compliment. It struck her that perhaps all this time, she had sold herself short, operating in self-imposed limitations. Perhaps this encounter could be more than just a fleeting moment in her story. It could be the beginning of a new chapter, one brimming with passion and authenticity. "I've been trying to find out who I really am," she replied, a part of her blossoming as she shared this truth. The words felt significant, laden with implications. "I need to explore what that means as I prepare for everything life has laid out for me." David's expression softened, his demeanor reflecting understanding and profound intrigue. "Exploration is vital, Emily. You have to be honest with yourself above all." The truth in his words hung heavy in the air, lingering like a question echoing inside her. Could this moment be the revelation she needed? Emily wrestled with the audacity of her own desires. The very thing she sought, authenticity, lay intertwined with the risk of stepping away from Marcus's predictable world. "I want to pursue my passion, but I'm scared," she confessed, vulnerability seeping into her voice. This raw honesty opened the door to possibilities she hadn't dared imagine. "I think you're braver than you realize," David said, his gaze steady, inspiring. "You just need to trust your instincts more." Suddenly, a cacophony of cheers erupted from a small group of art enthusiasts nearby, momentarily breaking the bond they had built. In that instant, she knew, embracing honesty would bring both exhilaration and an impending sense of loss. Her heart clenched at the realization that every decision rippled through her life, reshaping it with potential consequences. She stole a glance over her shoulder, remembering Marcus standing outside, a blend of expectation and concern adorning his features. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she watched Marcus step further into the gallery, uncertainty etched on his features. The warmth of David's presence began to dim, eclipsed by the reality of the life she had built, a life that mirrored her doubts, fears, and unpursued desires. Suddenly, the vibrant colors of the art around her seemed muted, the cheerful conversations fading into a distant hum. Marcus's eyes searched the crowd, landing on her with a mixture of relief and apprehension. Emily felt the weight of his gaze, a visible representation of the life she had led, filled with expectations and obligations. Here, in the midst of artistic fervor, the tension within her ballooned as she grappled with the duality of her current existence, one foot in security, and the other teetering on the edge of discovery. "Emily, there you are," he said, striding toward her, the concern in his voice palpable. In that moment, David faded to the background, his previous encouragement echoing sharply in her consciousness. She held on to those words, "Trust your instincts." But what did her instincts truly say? Was it freedom she sought, or merely the thrill of the unknown? "What are you doing here?" Marcus asked, arching an eyebrow, his tone laced with curiosity. "I came to see the artwork," she stammered, the words feeling feeble against the enormity of her internal conflict. "I think it's inspiring." "Yes, well, it has apparently inspired you enough to lose track of time," he replied, an edge of concern creeping into his voice. "I've been looking for you." She could feel anxiety creeping in, the familiar pathways of her mind buzzing with the old, safe narratives. She could recite them easily, her purpose, her obligations, her carefully curated life with Marcus. Yet here, confronted by the ghost of her ambitions and the lively creativity embodied by David and the art, the narrative began to unravel. "Emily, I need you to be honest with me," Marcus pressed. "I can see something has changed." Her heart raced as she realized the impending confrontation was unavoidable. But every fear of losing what she knew felt suddenly dwarfed by an insatiable yearning for something undefined. She was poised at a precipice, and she could either take a step back into familiarity or leap toward the uncharted territories of her true self. "I don't know what to say," she finally admitted, her voice trembling as she faced Marcus. "Start with the truth," he urged gently, a hint of vulnerability in his eyes. "The truth." It echoed in her mind, driving a wedge between the life she'd constructed and the life she longed to explore. Darkness flickered, revealing shadows of fear. What if she lost him? What if the leap towards self-discovery shattered everything she had? Yet was staying in her current life a loss to one sounded by muffled dreams and whispered ambitions? "Marcus, I've been feeling lost, she said, each word a brushstroke on the canvas of her life, vivid and raw. I want to explore who I am outside of who we are together. She could see the realization dawn on him, layering confusion with a hint of sadness. It struck her that this moment was not merely about them. It was about her choices, her aspirations, and the uncertainty of the life she wanted to define. Sorrow flickered in Marcus's gaze as silence stretched between them like a taut string, one ready to snap. She observed the way he clenched his jaw, wrestled with emotions laid bare. Are you saying you want to end this? He challenged softly, the weight of his words anchoring in her chest. No, she whispered, shaking her head. Not end it. Just redefine it. I need to learn who I am before I can be who you want me to be or who I want to be. As the crowd around them ebbed and flowed, the world became a blur. She stood in that calculated chaos, poised to confront who she was, who she could be, and the gravity of her decisions weighed heavy on her shoulders. Marcus turned away momentarily, his own internal battle raging. Was she risking everything for a confidence that seemed so fragile? You're talking about the unknown, he finally said, his voice lower, almost cautionary. What if it changes everything? Her heartbeat echoed in her ears, resonating with the sentiment that she could not ignore. That's the point, isn't it? Change brings growth. In that moment, she met Marcus's eyes once more, and everything hung in a delicate balance. But then David reappeared, purpose lighting up his face as he waved an invitation, oblivious to the fragile conversation encapsulated around them. His energy was an immediate jolt, a reminder of the untamed potential waiting just outside her comfort zone. What will you choose, Emily? Marcus asked, sudden intensity gripping the air between them, demanding an answer. The question sizzled in her, urging her to decide amidst the swirling chaos. To embrace the art of becoming rather than simply being defined. As she prepared to speak, a deep breath steadied her racing thoughts, but her heart raced with uncertainty. How much of her decision would affect everything she knew? What lay beneath the surface as she peeled back the layers of herself would be the ultimate revelation. Would she emerge redesigned, or would she retreat into familiarity? Just give me a moment, she said, taking a step into the uncertainty, drawn between two worlds, each call still singing a duet of possibility and fear. Her choice loomed like a vivid masterpiece, a blank canvas upon which everything would be painted. As David's voice carried over the din, Emily, come on. She understood the invitation meant more than art. It was an appeal to her very essence. What awaited her beyond that threshold? She felt the boundaries of her life stretch and shift, ready for exploration. And yet, the open-endedness of her next step matched the throbbing rhythm of her heart, leaving her yearning for clarity that remained just out of reach. Would she embrace transformation amidst the chaos or brush off the spark of possibility in favor of the familiar? The moment of clarity loomed ahead. Emily's mind raced, a furious whirlwind of thoughts swirling beneath the surface. She stood at the metaphorical precipice, caught between the comforting yet constrictive arms of stability and the exhilarating pull of the unknown. Each syllable hung heavily on her tongue, the enormity of her choice hanging in the balance. Could she truly embrace reinvention without losing herself completely? David's vibrant call echoed through the gallery like a beacon, beckoning her away from the tumultuous storm brewing within. He motioned with a flourish, a personification of freedom and creativity that stared back at her, almost pleadingly. His enthusiasm contrasted sharply with the weight of Marcus' gaze, laden with unvoiced fears and expectations. Emily? Marcus pressed, a thread of urgency worming into his voice. What do you really want? The directness of his question pulled her back from the edge, grounding her amidst the chaos of her thoughts. What did she want? It was a concept that felt both foreign and familiar. So many years had been spent weaving her existence around the requirements of a shared future with Marcus. The thought of untangling herself without harming those involved was a daunting task, one she felt utterly unprepared for. Taking a deep breath, she glanced at David, his warm smile instilling a flicker of courage within her. He seemed to embody the essence of everything she wished to explore and redefine. I want, her voice wavered, a subtle tremor betraying her shrouded vulnerabilities. I want to discover who I can be, to create something of my own. As soon as the words left her mouth, she sensed an audible shift in the atmosphere, a collective pause, as if the world itself held its breath. There was a flicker of hope ignited within her. It awakened something dormant, a fierce determination she had neglected for too long. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, his features contorting with a mixture of confusion and distress. But what does that mean for us? Everything we've planned? His resistance was evident. She saw the hope fading from his gaze, replaced by a fear of the stark unknown. Everything we've planned is built on a version of me that may not even exist anymore, Emily replied, her tone firmer now, buoyed by the burgeoning confidence. How can we continue when I'm not even sure of who I am? I can't live solely to fulfill the plans we constructed without taking into account my growth. The truth of her statement hung between them, each unspoken word resonating in the air like a lingering note from a symphony interrupted. Their past conflict transformed into a present confrontation, echoing with her insistence for change. She was terrified, yet it was the first time her voice felt solid, an anchor amidst turbulent waters. Marcus dropped his gaze, appearing small against the grand backdrop of the gallery, dissolving into the pieces of art surrounding them, each one an expression of struggles overcome and lives reinvented. So, you're leaving me behind? No, she replied, urgency cresting in her voice. I'm trying to bring myself forward. It's not leaving you behind. It's about figuring out if we fit into a future that's not only defined by us together. His silence was palpable. She could almost hear the ticking clock in the distance, reminding her of the urgency that hovered in the air. Time wasn't entirely on their side. If she didn't assert herself now, would she lose this chance forever? David approached, sensing the tension, and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Emily, explore with me. Discover what this world has to offer outside the confines of safety. You deserve that. Think of it as an opportunity, not a loss. The glimmer of possibility sparked within her. The prospect of engaging with her dreams, however intangible, ignited a fire within her that she hadn't realized was extinguished. Maybe the key lay not in finalizing her decision instantly, but in the courage to engage with uncertainty and confront her aspirations head-on, alongside whatever came next. Marcus looked between the two of them, a storm clouded in his emotions. What if we find ourselves on completely different paths? Her heart thudded painfully. Then we'll find out. But that's the risk I need to take, Marcus. In that moment, she felt an unusual clarity, a revelation rather than a conclusion. Perhaps the journey of self-discovery wasn't about losing what she had but recalibrating her identity alongside those she cared about. Transformation, she realized, could coexist with her existing relationships. It simply required a reorientation of expectations. But there was still a deeper murmur within her, a question that festered in the back of her mind. What if the journey revealed facets of her soul that turned her entire world upside down? Let me try this, she said softly, her voice steady against the palpable uncertainty. I need to find out who I am before I can understand who I can be for you, for us. As she locked eyes with Marcus, she braced herself for the reply, the moment poised to reshape their connection. The tension cloaked the surroundings, as if they were standing at the edge of a cliff, peering into the abyss of discovery that awaited them. Emily, together or apart, I just want you to be happy. But I can't guarantee where this journey will take us. His voice trailed off, leaving the sentence unfinished, the delicacy of their reality lingering, fragile yet hopeful. As the chaotic energy of the gallery continued to pulse around them, Emily felt ready to step forward, not just for herself, but for the relationship that had grounded her for so long. Yet the outcome remained uncertain, the open-ended nature of her next chapter igniting both fear and excitement in equal measure. Would she find freedom in this leap? Or would she discover a truth too heavy to bear? Only time would tell, and with that knowledge, she took a resolute step toward her path. The air in the gallery felt electric as Emily turned away from Marcus, her heart pounding in her chest. It was a moment of reckoning, a pause in the chaos of her life. Each step she took towards David was a step away from the life they had built together. Yet the thrill of stepping into the unknown fueled her determination. You're doing great, David said, his voice filled with warmth as he walked alongside her. This is just the beginning. Let us explore where this can take us. Emily nodded, absorbing the weight of his encouragement. She felt a familiar sense of excitement replace the dread. Small, timid sparks began flickering to life, igniting a latent ambition she hadn't acknowledged in years. She could create, reinvent the possibilities unfolded like a canvas waiting for vibrant strokes of color. Yet beneath the exhilaration lay a pulsing fear that twisted her gut. Would her pursuit for self-discovery inevitably lead to the dissolution of her bond with Marcus? Their shared dreams were like vines intertwined, resilient yet fragile. She needed to untangle her aspirations without alienating him. The delicate balance of love and personal growth loomed larger than before. Have you thought about what you want to create? David asked, pulling her back into focus, his interest genuine. The question echoed in her mind as they stepped outside into a bustling city street alive with possibilities. Not really, she admitted, feeling her cheeks flush. I've been too busy worrying about what everyone else needs from me. Well, it's time to think about what you want, he replied, motioning toward an art supply store nearby. How about we start by experimenting? Play with different mediums, express whatever comes to your mind. No expectations. The suggestion resonated deeply. Art always felt like a sanctuary, a place where her essence could thrive outside of definitions imposed by others. I think I'd like that, she said, her voice steadier than before. As they crossed the street, her thoughts spiraled. The blank canvas of her life beckoned her to delve deeper into who she was, to unearth layers long hidden under duty and fear. With each passing moment, the concept of exploration transformed from abstract desire into an actionable path. Once inside the store, vibrant colors lined the shelves: paints, brushes, canvases, and papers. Her fingers grazed over the materials, a tactile reminder that she had agency over her creations. Memories of past joys surfaced, late-night sketches, spontaneous sketches on napkins, and the high she felt when the art flowed from her fingertips unfiltered and raw. What speaks to you? David's gentle inquiry broke through her reverie. Emily paused, examining her thoughts as she stood amid the organized chaos of the store. I don't even know where to start, she confessed, laughter mingling with vulnerability. Start with what you feel, he smiled, encouragingly. Let it guide you. You have something in you just waiting to be expressed. A rush of adrenaline coursed through her. Could this really be the release she craved? She took a deep breath and picked up a sketch pad and charcoal, envisioning the strokes she would make. Each piece of art represented a fragment of the new Emily she was beginning to uncover. As the pair settled in a quiet corner of the store, their energy melded, and she felt an unexpected camaraderie with David. His presence was invigorating, yet she wrestled with guilt. The loyalty she felt toward Marcus remained a heavy blanket, draped over her burgeoning excitement. In that quiet moment, a realization struck Emily. This journey would require honesty, not only with herself but also with Marcus. As liberating as the idea of creating was, concealing the emotional shifts from him would only breed resentment later. David, I need to confront some truths, she said, the gravity of her admission settling over them. I think I need to talk to Marcus about how I'm feeling. Honesty is essential. He regarded her with respect, as if knowing how monumental that decision was. As they left the store, sketchpad in hand, Emily felt a sense of empowerment begin to overtake the doubt. She was embracing her identity in a significant way, yet the specter of that confrontation loomed on the horizon. Would Marcus understand? Would he be supportive of her metamorphosis? The sense of impending conversation gnawed at her, but beneath it was a burgeoning tenacity, a conviction that she needed to be fully transparent in order to step into her newfound freedom. They strolled down the street, and Emily's heartbeat synced with the rhythm of the city around her, a heartbeat that now belonged to her alone. But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows ahead of them, she couldn't shake the question swirling in her mind. What if Marcus couldn't embrace the Emily that was unfolding? Determined, she pushed the thoughts away, focusing instead on the warmth of possibility. The journey was far from over, and as she glanced at David beside her, she felt the tug of adventure urging her forward. The path ahead was uncertain, and with every confident step, she felt the promise of creation and revelation beckoning like an undiscovered masterpiece just waiting for its moment to emerge. The following morning, sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the edges of Emily's sketchpad scattered across the coffee table. She woke earlier than usual, her mind replaying the previous day's revelations. It was unsettling yet invigorating. Gripping the arms of the sofa, she allowed herself a moment of reflection. Each stroke of charcoal on paper was a reflection of her growing self-awareness. But now, the bright colors of her life reimagined by David contrasted starkly with the muted tones of her existence with Marcus. The sketchpad felt heavy with potential but also weighed down by unspoken words. What would come next? She took a deep breath, grappling with the conversation that lay ahead. There was an urgency in her heart, a drive to express herself, but fear curled tightly around her thoughts. Would honesty break her relationships or solidify them? Deciding to take control of her day, Emily planned her approach. It was time to brave the notion that her happiness could coexist with the love she had for Marcus. She envisioned their conversation as a sculptor chiseling away at a boulder, revealing a form buried beneath. After breakfast, Emily left her apartment with a determined stride. Each step toward Marcus felt deliberate, laden with unspoken intentions. As she approached the park where they had shared countless memories, the blooming flowers and vibrant greens seemed to reflect her desire for renewal. Marcus was already there, sitting on their favorite bench, a book resting forgotten in his lap. He looked up, his eyes lighting up at her arrival. A familiar warmth enveloped her as they exchanged smiles, yet underneath it lived a current of tension she couldn't ignore. "Hey," he said softly, his voice laced with curiosity. "You look different today." "Different how?" she asked, attempting a playful tone despite the knot tightening in her stomach. He shrugged, leaning back against the bench. "More alive?" The compliment was genuine, but it reminded her that life beneath the surface was quickly shifting. "Good. I think I've been hiding." She sat down beside him, her palms resting on her thighs, fingers brushing against the denim fabric as if grounding herself. "There's something I need to talk about." Marcus shifted slightly, his posture attentive. "What is it?" "You know you can tell me anything." The sincerity in his eyes pierced through her anxiety. She opened her mouth, rehearsing lines in her mind, but the words felt trapped. Instead, she took a breath, gathering her resolve, and started. "I've been rediscovering my passion for art, and it's made me realize that I've put everyone else's needs first. I want to create, to explore, and I think that means I need to be more honest with myself and you." His brow furrowed slightly, and a beat of silence lingered. "What do you mean?" Emily forced herself to meet his gaze, however difficult. "What I mean is, I need to figure out who I am outside of what we've built together. I want to talk about my feelings, not just about art, but everything. I need you to understand that this journey I'm embarking on is about finding myself, not losing you." Marcus leaned forward slightly, his expression a mixture of confusion and concern. "Are you saying that our relationship is holding you back?" "Because I don't want that for you, but I also don't want to lose you." The weight of his worry settled over her like a heavy blanket. But she would not waver. "I don't want to let go either, but I can't keep hiding my truths. I feel like I'm at a crossroads and discovering parts of myself I didn't even know existed." He studied her, and in that moment, she felt the distance between them shift. Marcus' expression softened, though still laced with unease. "I want to support you, Emily, but I need to understand what all of this means for us. I want us to evolve together," she said, her heart racing. "But I also need the freedom to explore. It feels terrifying, yet exhilarating, like letting go of the anchor that's been holding me down. Can you be part of that, even if it means some changes between us?" A cocktail of emotions flickered across Marcus' face. He looked torn, yet something about his struggle mirrored her own tension, creating an unspoken bond of mutual vulnerability. Perhaps they both needed to confront their fears, to step beyond the comfortable boundaries that defined their lives. "I just need time to process this," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. She nodded, feeling a surge of empathy mixed with affirmation. The fear of the unknown was shared. "I understand." Take your time, but I hope you'll meet me where I'm going. As they lingered in silence, the world around them continued to thrive with laughter and life circling their vulnerability. Emily's determination set the stage for a creative renaissance, but the uncertainty of her relationship loomed large. Could they navigate this new terrain together? The question lingered as the sun dipped lower, painting the sky a riot of colors reminiscent of the art she longed to create. The shadows of uncertainty swept over her once again, urging her to push on. This was not just her journey, it was theirs. Yet, one truth remained: fine lines separate love from loss, and each stroke of honesty could either mend or fracture their painted relationship. As they both looked out over the park, Emily pondered what might come next. What would she be willing to sacrifice for her own self-discovery? Would she dare to break boundaries, even in the face of love? The adventure had begun, but the stakes were higher than she could ever have imagined. The air crackled with unresolved tension between Emily and Marcus as they sat in the fading sunlight. Each moment stretched thin, burdened with the weight of their words and the silence that followed. Emily's heart raced, oscillating between hope and dread. The world around them continued, but within her, a storm churned. She glanced at Marcus, whose brow was still creased with uncertainty. He was the anchor she had relied on, a constant in her life, yet today he felt more like a lifeboat tossed into waves she was learning to navigate alone. It was during that moment of contemplation that she realized her growth would not simply be a solitary act. It was intrinsically tied to their relationship and its evolution. "Do you remember when we first moved in together?" Emily broke the silence, her voice steady yet soft, hoping nostalgia could lighten the moment. Everything felt new and thrilling, like every blank wall had the potential to become something beautiful. Marcus nodded, a small smile flickering at the corners of his mouth. "Yeah, we painted every room except the bathroom. I think that's still avocado green." "Right." She chuckled, the memory fond despite the unsettling context of their current conversation. The laughter felt refreshing, but it quickly dissipated, swallowed by the gravity of the conversation ahead. "Back then, I was so eager to share my art. I remember that first canvas I brought home, the way you encouraged me to display it proudly on the wall. You were on fire." "I still remember when you painted those sunsets," he replied, his eyes reflecting a mix of longing and concern. "You had such a passion." "I lost that passion along the way," she admitted, her voice tinged with regret. "In trying to build a life with you, I unintentionally buried the artist inside me." Confessing felt like peeling off layers, exposing raw vulnerabilities she had protected for so long, but she sensed this was necessary, not just for her, but for them. The word, lost, hung heavy in the air, a reminder of what had been willingly surrendered. "I used to feel like I was creating something significant," she continued, her words tumbling out in waves. "But art became secondary to our plans. I think I filled my time with an identity that doesn't entirely reflect who I am. I want us to be a part of that flourishing instead of stifling it." Marcus leaned back, absorbing her words, and a moment of quiet contemplation enveloped them. Emily could see the gears turning in his mind. This was no longer a conversation about her rediscovery, but a mirrored reflection of their relationship. Would he cling to the comforts he knew, or would he grow with her through the uncertainty? "Emily," he started, his voice gentle yet firm, "I want you to thrive. But I don't want to lose you to your art. What if it consumes you? What if you grow distant?" His questions, genuine in their concern, cut deep. "I understand your fears, Marcus," she affirmed, meeting his eyes. "But what I'm discovering isn't just about art. It's about creating a life that celebrates who we both are. I want us to support each other's growth and dreams. This could elevate us both." A profound sense of possibility hung between them, electrifying yet daunting. Emily understood she was asking Marcus to take a leap into uncharted territory with her, to redefine their relationship without the safety net they had relied upon. It emboldened her to stand firm. The sun dipped further, shadows elongated like the hesitation, yet within that fading light, she sensed a shift in Marcus. His gaze softened, and she recognized he was considering her invitation to evolve. It became clear to her that this moment was pivotal. They could either take the risk together or retreat into the familiarity that likely stifled them both. "Maybe it's time I let you go a little," he said, finally yielding to the gravity of her truth. "To discover who you are without my presence looming over your every stroke." A realization washed over Emily. This was not just a conversation about self-discovery. It was a declaration of faith in one another. "And I want you to embrace your own journey too, Marcus," she replied, her pulse quickening. "What would you wish to explore in your life?" The question hung like an open door, inviting exploration into uncharted depths, igniting a flicker of courage in both of them. Each had been grappling with expectations, but now, together, they stood on the cusp of unfamiliar horizons. As twilight deepened, dipping the landscape into deep hues, Emily felt a sense of awakening. Could this be the first step toward a new canvas, one painted with the vibrant colors of mutual growth and exploration? Amidst the uncertainty, she felt a glimmer of a future unfurling before her, yet a shadow of doubt lurked nearby. Would they both have the courage to step beyond their fears and create a future that neither had envisioned on their own? In that moment of possibility, Emily wondered about what sacrifices might lie ahead. The question loomed larger: were they both ready to redefine their love in a way that supported their individual journeys? Just as the last rays of the sun slipped beneath the horizon, a surge of adrenaline coursed through her. Would they be brave enough to thrust themselves into the unknown, or would fear pull them back into the safety of the familiar? The light of possibility dimmed, leaving her with a sense of urgency. What awaited them on the other side of this pivotal moment? It was time to unlock the next chapter of their lives, together or apart. Emily stood at the edge of transformation, her heart racing with a powerful mix of fear and exhilaration. As twilight enveloped the park, she embraced the reality of change. The evening felt suspended in time. Decisions hung like the delicate glow of the stars above. Clarity echoed within her as she surveyed the intersection of her past and future. Conversations with Marcus had redefined their relationship, revealing the layers of her suppressed identity and artistic passions. Communicating her desire for exploration had awakened something profound, a recognition that both of them could grow, individually and collectively. "I can embrace my creativity and still care deeply for you," she asserted, her voice steady against the twilight breeze. "This isn't about reducing what we've built, it's about expanding who we can become together." Marcus nodded, searching her face. The resolution in her eyes sparked a commitment to explore together, and for the first time, the path didn't feel constricted. He met her gaze, framing their love with a new, vibrant lens. "Then let us cultivate that growth, not just for ourselves but for each other. I need you to know that your journey won't alienate me. It's about forging a path intertwined with our individual aspirations." Emily's heart swelled, recognizing the profound wisdom of partnership in change, how love could become a springboard rather than a shackle. Could they intertwine their artistic explorations while retaining their commitment and care? This connection pulsed with potential, and for the first time, she felt both seen and understood in her entirety. Days turned into weeks as Emily and Marcus committed to their journeys. Emily painted colors she had long restrained, expressing through canvas the multifaceted aspects of her identity. Each stroke became a part of her self-discovery, revealing layers of complexity that brought her fulfillment she didn't know she craved. Internally and externally, the shift was palpable. Her collaborators from the Cedar Grove Community Center took note of her renewed passion. "Your authenticity shines through in this work, it's exhilarating," Sylvia, a mentor, remarked as she examined Emily's recent pieces displayed in a local showcase. Her words echoed in Emily's heart, resonating with newly established confidence. Every layer of her experience, every challenge she confronted, contributed to a narrative much closer to her truth. Marcus, too, found boldness in redefining his path. Inspired by her courage, he pursued opportunities that previously felt distant. He enrolled in a community leadership program and began advocating for initiatives aligning with his passions. "It's amazing how much lighter I feel," he shared over dinner, eyes alight with excitement as he described the mentorship opportunities blooming before him. As summer rolled around, the weight constraining their lives together lifted. They celebrated milestones, both hers and his, with genuine enthusiasm that bridged the gap once occupied by fears of loss. Their love did not dwindle. It flourished, each painting and moment of discovery becoming brushstrokes in the vibrant narrative of their shared life. Months later, the Cedar Grove Community Center hosted an art exhibit showcasing the talents of local artists, including Emily. As her work adorned the gallery walls, she beamed with pride, a dazzling array of hues reflecting her journey of authenticity and exploration. I accomplished this, and I'm still standing beside Marcus, she thought with gratitude. Their identities stood firmly side by side, no longer diminished by one another but enhanced. Emily looked out among the crowd, mixed with familiar faces, and spotted Marcus leaning against a wall. He caught her eye and smiled a smile that radiated reassurance and warmth. The journey had woven them together even tighter, a canvas of partnership painted with trust and belief in one another as dreams. That night, as the last guests departed, Emily took Marcus's hand and squeezed it. "Thank you for believing in this journey with me," she said, feeling the full extent of her accomplishment wash over her in an invigorating wave. "I can finally see the canvas of my life unfurling before me and embrace this wild, messy, beautiful adventure." "You took the leap," Marcus responded, voice filled with admiration. "And now look where it's taking you." It was not only a victory of self-discovery but a mutual transformation born from love and intimacy. They had ignited possibilities only dreamt of before. "Today we paint our own masterpieces," Emily whispered, a sense of tranquility enveloping her, knowing she had achieved not just an artistic return but had established a solid foundation for lifelong exploration and growth. This was the moment she had longed for, a strong, confident embrace of herself, and she felt deeply, without reservation, the echoes of joy radiating through every fiber of her being. And now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the inspiration for those on their own journeys. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion and thrive alongside their dreams. Comment your reactions and theories about this transformation. Your support is valuable.